I'm Peter Bois, nationally touring magician.
And I'm Gus Davis, nationally touring game show host.
We don't get regular Saturday nights because we are out performing on the weekends.
That's why Mondays are so special to us. They are our Saturdays.
We will help you get through your Monday by joining us on our Saturday.
Monday is the new Saturday.
Welcome to Monday Club. Welcome to Monday Club! Yes, this is my highest pitched voice ever! Hello, ladies and gents. Welcome to Monday Club. My name is Peter Bois. I'm here with my sultry voice mate, Gus the Davis. And welcome to episode 63 of Monday Club, the saviors of Monday. And this week we cheers to fishing for gators. Gus has the worst pedicure in the history of feet. I have the easiest gig ever. We talk about in the news, real-life Spider-Man summer movie challenge continues. And I have to travel to Seattle, have a ton of fun in Seattle. Lots to talk about. Gus does some grad night shows, and we teach you some stuff about mechanics, and I give you some career advice. Welcome to 63 Monday Club.
Episode 63, cheers!
Cheers! Yes! Holy crap, we're coming up on a big number.
We did it, man.
Yeah.
We did it. We've now crossed. We're in our mid-60s. We're almost to retirement age.
I know. We've been getting AARP for a while, and Social Security is right around the corner.
That's right, man. That's right. Well, dude, it is so good to see you. Happy Monday to you and all our fellow Monday Clubbers out there.
You as well, man. Happy Monday in our day of rest. This is our Sabbath.
It is. It's a sanctity. The Monday is the sanctity day.
I love how we have Mondays. That's Monday Club. Monday Club just isn't a podcast. Damn it, it's a religion.
That's right. It's a way of life.
Yeah, it is a way of life. We should. Monday is a way of life. We've got a new little slogan.
Bumper sticker.
Yeah.
At least a bumper sticker out of that.
Yeah, totally.
Well, dude, it's so good to see you, man. This is going to be, I think, an action-packed episode of Monday Club, so let's jump right into it.
Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. That was me punching.
Oh, that's a foreshadowing for later with a little bit of Bruce Lee.
Oh, hell yes. Big news about Bruce Lee.
I'm so excited. Okay, so let's jump right into this, peeps. Here's the way we're going to start this off. First of all, we have an awesome Cheers of the Week. And I don't know. I guess I found this because I think this is related to Reddit. There it is. Yeah, Yep. It's definitely on Reddit. Do you want to set this up?
Sure. So I get this text from Gus, and it's this guy in a boat, a low boat. I would say almost a kayak, like an open kayak, a fishing kayak. So he's low to the water, and he's got his vest and he's got his hat on, but doesn't have a fishing pole. I think he's got some sort of buoy system in the water.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. It looks like he set traps in the water that are attached to floating buoys, and he just reaches in the water and he starts raising one of these traps that's attached to a line.
Yeah, and he keeps pulling, and then he comes to another buoy that's kind of halfway down the depth of the lake he's in, and he keeps pulling, he's pulling and pulling. And the first time I watched it, I didn't see it. You just see this guy freak out, and the engine starts on the boat, and they start like zipping away as fast as they can.
Yeah, they're hauling ass away. Yeah.
Then I watched it again, and as he pulls up the last bit of his trap, you see the about 6 inches of alligator's snout come out of the water.
Oh, and it's a ginormous alligator snout.
Yeah.
I mean, he just pulled up a monster alligator out of
And it's weird that the alligator's allowing him to do this, right?
Yeah, the alligator's just kind of chilling.
Oh, wait, I think the guy's in a pedal boat. Either that or because he starts pedaling his feet up and down. Either that or that's his scared feet. He thinks he's running away in a boat.
That's like he turns into a live action cartoon and just tries to scamper away. Because what it looks like, I've watched this probably 6 or 7 times now, and what it actually looks like is that a dinosaur's head comes out of the water.
It does look like that. Actually, that is what it is. Alligators are dinosaurs.
Pretty much.
So he caught a dinosaur and he freaked out and started paddling away with his feet. Is it pedaling away or paddling away? I don't know.
I think it's pooping his way away from his face, because that's what his face just says, oh, hail to the no. No, 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 no. I'm out.
He's going to need some new Hanes after that.
This reminds me, I went night diving when I was in Cozumel. I just graduated high school and went night diving, and night diving was the most terrifying thing that I have ever done in my life. And the simple reason is that you're basically floating. It's the closest thing to being in outer space as I can imagine, because there's no up, down, left, right. You're just in a controlled suit tumbling around in pitch black darkness. And man, I will never forget the real life realization that I had of, oh, that's right. Like, there are a lot of things in this ocean that are much bigger than I am. And so I just had that feeling like if I was going to turn around, and as soon as I turned around, my little light thing would just flash on a giant shark that was coming to get me. But yeah, I think that this guy is fishing in a lake it's a muddy, dirty lake. He can't see past the surface of the lake, and to just be pulling like normal, and then all of a sudden have a giant crocodile come up at the end of your line is very humbling.
Yeah, you realize you're not at the top of the food chain.
Not even close. Yeah,
there are things that can eat you with one bite.
Yep.
Yeah. So cheers to this guy for first of all, for boating in alligator-infested waters, because I'm scared out of my wits to go in any lake in the gator belt.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So raise a glass to these amazing fishermen who risk life and limb for some fish. And potentially pull up an alligator.
And also for their faces for when they catch an alligator.
And their paddling feet to get away.
That's right. Cheers.
Cheers to you guys. This week, I just got off a red-eye flight from Seattle. So that's why I'm a little wound up. I might be a little crazy today. So I didn't have much time to prepare anything special. I just have a little bit of whiskey and an ice cube in a glass, some Woodford Reserve I had in the cupboard. But you know what just happened recently? I planted my mojito, my mint for my mojitos.
Yes.
So mojitos are coming very soon.
Man, that means that we've been doing this long enough to see multiple seasons of your garden producing mojitos for you.
Yes.
I'm so excited. This week I am drinking. I'm like you. I've just decided to go kind of neat and not too fancy. I've got other things to do later on today, so I'm trying not to hit it too hard for Monday Club. But I've got one of my favorite vodkas. It's Kettle One vodka, and just poured it over a glass of ice, and it's just a nice little easy, refreshing sipping drink. Kettle One is one of those alcohols, one of those vodkas that you take a sip and you keep waiting for it to have that alcoholic kick, and it never does. And then you realize how dangerous it is, because you could just drink this stuff like water. So yeah, that's what I'm drinking today.
Very nice. I had a wonderful scotch on my trip, and it was. I think it's readily available everywhere. Is it Glenfiddich?
Yeah.
15 years. I think I've had it before, but I have a renewed love for scotch because that was just so thick and delicious that I need to go buy a bottle of it.
It was thick, huh?
Yeah, like the consistency, it was a little syrupy compared to like the Woodford or a whiskey or a bourbon. It felt like it had some more substance to it.
Okay, yeah, I can totally see that.
Yeah. So,
all right.
I got to put that in the cupboard. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to Monday Club, episode 63. We love you all out there. Thank you so much for being part of the club. Make sure you start telling more people about the club. We want to grow the club. Like we always say, we will put auditions onto the clubhouse for anyone. Anyone is welcome. So share your favorite episodes on social media and help us promote it and spread the word about Monday Club, because we need you to help this thing keep going and grow big and large and humongous. I like the word humongous. If you're not signed up already, go into our newsletter on our website, I was going to just give my website, petermagician.com. Go to mondayclubpodcast.com. And you can put your name and email in there, and we send out a weekly email updating you on the new episodes and exclusive content. Also, you can buy us a drink. If you want to buy me that bottle of Glenfiddich 15-year scotch, you are welcome to. Just PayPal us. You can PayPal us through our email address, mondayclubpodcast@gmail.com. Or if you just want to buy us a beer or a single drink that's less expensive, you're welcome to do that. We would love to sample your favorite beverages. Just let us know what to drink and send us the amount that it'll cost for that drink. Follow us on Twitter, Monday Club Pod, Instagram, Monday Club Podcast, and we're on Spotify and YouTube. So you can listen there if you'd like, and that is a great way to promote. So thank you guys for being part of the club.
Hey, I also want to add to that if any of you out there have other podcasts that you listen to on a regular basis, and you think that Monday Club and those podcasts should talk to each other and perhaps interview each other, please let us know. We would love to have some different perspectives on Monday Club, and really we just want to get everybody drunk on a Monday. So send us an email and let us know what you are listening to and who you would like us to interview for season 2, possibly season 3. Yeah.
That's a better slogan than we have. We just want to get everyone drunk on a Monday.
That's right. Let's stop beating around the bush. That's really what we want to do.
Yeah. So what you been up to lately, man?
Oh, dude, this has been a crazy week for me. So I had a run of magic shows that was happening, and usually when I do magic shows, especially close-up magic shows, I like to get a manicure and pedicure to have my nails be nice instead of covered in mud and all that stuff. So I went to this manicure place that I guess it's called a nail salon that I normally go to, and I had a lady that I normally go to. I mean, this is not a new relationship, and she started off on my feet. And so get this, man. I don't know if you've ever had a pedicure or not, but one of the things that they do
that is a resounding no. I have an anti-foot fetish here.
You definitely should, but I'll tell you, this is gonna kind of turn you off from it. So what she did was she took this. It's called a callus remover. It really looks like a cheese grater. And what you're supposed to do is cover the person's foot in some kind of oil or lotion, and then they rub this cheese grater looking thing over your calluses, and it smooths out your feet. It takes all those white, scaly, rough patches away, and makes your feet nice and soft so they can do all the other stuff to it. Anyway, she missed a spot on my big toe for where she put the lubricant stuff, the oil. And so she just went up in a really swift motion with her callus remover, and she took out, dude, I am not even kidding. Imagine a pencil eraser. Like, imagine a pencil eraser's worth of flesh just getting melon-balled off of my toe. And as soon as it happened, I stiffened up and I started sweating profusely, and she was like, oh, I'm sorry. And so she tries to start bandaging it, and she takes the world's smallest Band-Aid. I mean, it's one of those Band-Aids that you would put over a small puncture wound, like one of the round Band-Aids, and tries to put that over it. Well, dude, the open sore is far bigger than this Band-Aid, and I just start bleeding out, out of my big toe. And so she dips it in this water that has all this alcohol and stuff like that in there to try to staunch the blood. and then tries to continue the pedicure. So, like, she still dips my foot in, like, this hot paraffin wax and then pulls the paraffin wax off of my feet. And, like, the whole time I'm just sitting there like I'm being tortured by the Spanish Inquisition, just sweating. Like, I would have told this lady anything. I would have told her my social security number. I would have given her a tip just to stop. And I come home and I tell this story to my wife, and my wife is like, oh, hells to the no. Like, that pedicure would have stopped right then. Like, I would have owned that pedicure place if I had known that was going on. And I was like, I mean, I didn't want to be like, you know, I didn't want to be a wuss about it. I was like, I mean, mistakes happen, but so my toe has just been bleeding for the last week. And so everywhere I've been walking around with this weird limp because my toe is all like, has a giant melon ball scoop out of it. But what was also funny is I went directly from there the next day. I did my show, and then the next day I went and my friends who are rebuilding my ATV, and they've got dirt bikes and stuff like that out at their little ranch area. I went over to visit them and got to ride my ATV for the first time after we got it and got it all fixed up. And, you know, I'm trying to be cool, like, hey, yeah, let's go drink some beer and ride around on the ATVs. But really, I'm limping around because I got a botched pedicure, and I just couldn't bring myself to tell the bros, like, hey, man, no, I'm not going to wear safety boots. No. I like to ride in flip-flops. Yeah.
That's you want an excuse like, yeah, I was hunting and I twisted my ankle in a bear trap, you know. And I can't do that. I can't go ATV because I got a pedicure injury.
Yeah, so yeah, that was my awkward moment this week.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, dude, I have a complete anti-foot fetish. Feet are gross. I don't like feet. I don't even like talking about it right now. It's just grossing me out. I don't want to envision feet. I don't want to talk about feet. I don't want to touch feet. I don't want people touching my feet. Just keep, if we could just erase the word feet and foot from our dictionary and just call them those things at the end of our legs, I would be less grossed out in my life.
Wait, are you being serious?
Yeah.
Oh, man, you and I are completely... I think one of my to-do, like, on my list before I die, on my bucket list, is to have two people massaging my feet at the same time.
Wow.
Like, to just be laying down or sitting down and just having two people rubbing on my feet at the same time would be amazing.
That goes on the list that I'd rather die before that happens.
Then I got one more for you, boy. So, when I was in NAMM... we went to this market to get some food, and afterwards we had some free time. And sitting outside of the store, they have fish pedicures.
Oh, I've heard of these.
Yeah, so you sit down on the edge of this
it's already grossing me out.
live fish tank thing,
nasty.
And you just sit down there, and they bring you beer. And so you sit there and you drink beer and you roll up your pants and you dip your feet into this water, and they have these special kind of fish that come up and eat the dead skin off of your feet. And so these fish start swarming like piranha, and they get in between your toes and they get on your heels, and you just got like 80 fish just like pecking at your feet.
Oh.
Yeah, it was pretty great.
I
think I have a video. I'll show you the video sometime, bro.
The fish are literally eating you. You're being consumed by another animal.
Yep. I mean, in swarms. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're eating you alive.
Well, I mean, they're eating the dead parts of you, but yeah, sure.
So that makes it okay. No, that's just gross stuff.
What do you think? What do you think? How much, monetarily speaking, how much do you think it would take for you to put your foot in one of those things?
Oh my God. We're talking 5 digits, probably. Like 50 grand. There we go.
And is this just for you to dip your foot in there, or is this for you to like 30 full minutes?
We'd have to go 6 digits for
You know yourself. I paid $7, got 2 beers, and had my feet pecked clean by fish.
Oh, it's so gross. Well, I'm glad. Is your foot healing from your pedicure injury?
I mean, it's definitely healing, but I mean, it is still not well. I'm still pouring rubbing alcohol on it and screaming in the shower in the mornings. I mean, it was a giant chunk out of my feet.
Yeah. See, take it from Gus. Pedicures are gross. They'll just injure you. Then you'd be walking around trying to cover up the fact that you got a pedicure injury.
There's not a lot of cool ways that you can explain your limp to people when you do get a pedicure injury.
That is pretty funny.
Oh man. So yeah, what about you, man?
Oh, well, I just came back from Seattle. I had a red-eye flight from SeaTac to Boston, and I literally flew in this morning, drove home from Boston, took my dog out, and started talking to you. So
nice.
I'm running on 4.5 hours of plane sleep. My neck is a little crinky. My eyes are a little scratchy. But I was really proud of myself. I slept 90% of the way home. It was fantastic. I think I fell asleep when I woke up once in the middle of my plane ride, my seat was not reclined, which means I fell asleep before we took off.
Nice.
And so that was nice. So I fell asleep before we took off, reclined once, and then woke up again about 30 minutes before we touched down. So it was a good experience to do that.
Dude, I've stopped reclining my seat because I've realized that most of the flights that I take are between an hour and a half and 3 hours, somewhere in that range. And if you recline your seat, there's always 30 to 45 minutes before you actually touch down. They come up and say, hey, they wake you up and say, hey, you need to put your seat up. And so I've sacrificed the comfort of laying back the 3 degrees that the seat goes back for being able to sleep all the way through that till touchdown. Like, touchdown is usually what wakes me up. And I haven't decided what's better. You get better rest with the reclined, even with that small degree that it reclines. Better rest. But you get to sleep all the way through if you don't recline your seat.
Yeah. I guess if I can fall asleep before we take off, it's fine. But if I can't fall asleep before we take off, then I recline and go that route because I need that extra comfort. Because I have to be really tired to fall asleep without reclining, even that couple of degrees. I flew JetBlue, and I was so tempted. When I booked these tickets, JetBlue has this class they call Mint. And you ever hear about this? And it's first class seats, but these seats recline fully into a bed. And when I was booking, I was like, is it worth an extra $300 to be able to lay down for this flight home? I was very close. If it was about $100, which would have been equivalent to a hotel night, at a night at a hotel, I probably would have done it if it was like $100, but I was like, $300. So I am happy that I am $300 richer, and I still slept the entire flight.
So suck it, Mint class.
Yeah. You guys got screwed out of your money. Oh man, so that's where I'm coming from. Oh, last week I have a lot of stories about Seattle I'll tell in this week in the news in a few minutes. But last week I had the easiest gig ever. You ever get hired to do like a spot in someone else in like another larger show, like a 10-minute spot, 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got hired to do 2 10-minute sets in this variety show for the school that is for students that have like brain injuries and intense autism, things like that. And so they were doing their yearly variety show, and so I got hired to do. They bring in a couple other entertainers to mix it up with their students, and so I was like, oh, great. I just have to do 20 minutes, 2 10-minute spots. Everyone's going to be pumped because, anyone who comes to a variety show knows the people in the show, so they're going to be all excited. And then I get there, and they're like, oh, we just need 10 minutes from you. so
that's cool.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, my job just got easier. So it was like the easiest gig ever. I got there, I plugged in my mic, did a 2-second sound check, and then set up 10 minutes of material and just waited. And it was on Facebook for like 2 hours before the show. And then like an hour during the show went on. And then, that was it. Packed up and went home. It was
Did you leave before the show was over? Or like, did you start packing up before the show was over? Or were you like...
You know where my brain was at, because beforehand I was talking to the guy who hired me, and I didn't want to be rude. How do you ask this question? The question being bluntly, can I leave after I'm done? Right.
Right.
How did I phrase it? I was talking to him, and this is great. So you only need 10 minutes. Okay, great. Do you need me to go shorter, longer? And he's like, if you go a couple minutes over, it's fine. Okay, cool. So I started asking previous, questions before the big question to get him used to.
Right.
And so I was like, do you need me afterwards for anything? Is there anything you need me to stay for afterwards, or am I done when I'm done? And he's like, well, we have like an encore where everyone comes on stage, and he's like, and then he was very wishy-washy. He was like, well, you can stay if you want to for it. I'm like, well, here's the thing. I don't want to piss him off if I leave, right? So I was like, well, you're hiring me, so what do you want me to do? It's your call. I'll stay. I'm here for you guys. So he did. He said, yeah, we'd like you to stay. And I was like, okay, fine. So I just stayed, and, they do a little encore, and you get a little bow at the end of it. And so, so I did have to stay for the whole thing. But
that's funny. Those situations are always funny for me because I always have to weigh exactly what you did. Is it rude? Because in some situations, it's totally not rude. They got to reset right afterwards, and everybody's just going to disperse anyway. That. And I also have to decide, am I going to stay in costume? Because
yes,
it's always funny when you see people who were at the beginning of a show, haven't done anything, and then they come out for the encore bow, and they're chilling in their like slides and their workout shorts. And they're like, hey guys, it's good to see you guys.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, and stupid me, before the show started, I was like, if you have technical issues and you need to fill time, I can go on. I've got material, right? So then I'm like, oh, now I can't pack up my show in case they call on me to go do 2 minutes,
Right.
So I didn't really. I packed up most of it. Actually, I packed up everything except a deck of cards because I could fill 5 minutes with a deck of cards.
Right.
So,
Right.
Yeah. So that was last week, and
that's cool. Those are like bird nests on the ground, right? When you find those shows that are just like, we just want 10, 15 minutes from you, and there you go. Here's your fee.
Yeah, it was wonderful. This
week in the news.
I found this on Facebook. I'm very proud of myself.
Yeah, this thing ended up blowing up, man. It was all over the place. It was on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, CNN, BuzzFeed. Like, everyone picked up this story. Did you see the video? Is that how you got interested in this story?
Yeah, well, first of all, Spider-Man hooked me because I'm a big fan of Spider-Man. And
right.
A real Spider-Man sounds pretty freaking amazing. And so then I clicked on it and then saw the video and was just in awe of this man's physical abilities.
Right, so if you haven't seen this or don't know what we're talking about, in France, I believe, this guy who is a immigrant. I mean, he's a refugee, Malian refugee. There's a video that starts off by showing a 5, 6, 7-story building, and on the 5th or 6th floor, there is an infant that is dangling over the balcony, like he's gotten on the other side of the guard wall and is hanging for his life over from this apartment building. And this guy just looks at the situation and decides the fastest way that he can help is to just scale the building. And so he just, from the street, just stands on the bottom balcony, reaches up, grabs the next balcony, pulls himself up, and just continues to work his way up. And he's up to the 5th or 6th floor in seconds. I mean,
yeah. It was crazy.
Less than a minute.
It was like he was just hopping up like the real Spider-Man would do.
Yes. I mean, legit. And is able to get to the baby and get the baby up and safe and on the correct side where he's not going to fall to his death. Anyway, first of all, cheers to you, Spider-Man, for saving a kid. Well done.
Double cheers.
Double cheers, yeah. And second of all, I love the response that has come from this. So not only did this guy get all the internet points, right? He got all the kudos from everyone standing around for rescuing a kid. He also, the French government saw this act and like, look, when you do something heroic like that, we want you, those kind of people in our country. So you are granted French citizenship.
Yeah.
And they not only granted him French citizenship, they also gave him a job. They're like, you know who could use your skills? The fire department. So here you go. You're now, we offer you citizenship and a workable wage to be on our fire department. And I love that response. I think that's such a great response. Are you an awesome human being? We want you in our country.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, and he's training to become a fireman in France. It's amazing. I did look it up. He's from the Republic of Mali. It's West African country out there. But
okay,
yeah,
cool.
that's freaking amazing. This guy is he deserves all the credit. You know, everything he's getting. And it's cool. It's not like, I think it's way better than like, hey, we're gonna give you a couple talk show spots and we're gonna throw you some cash. No, right. You just set this guy up for a life. He seems like he was trying to make a better life for him. Maybe the Republic of Mali, I'm not sure. It might not be a great place to live, so he wanted to immigrate to France to, have a better life for himself. And yeah, that's amazing. It's a great story. He's able to now, have a great job and
you know what's so great about that story too? Looking further down the line at his family tree, right? Like, imagine his great-grandkids who are full-on French citizens, living the life established in that country. They can always look back and be like, hey, my great-grandfather got us from Mali to here because he was a badass and saved a child dangling from a balcony. Like, that's our story. Like, how cool is that?
Yeah, and it's great, though. Those stories happen, and you have those stories, but they happened so long ago before video cameras, right? Now you this thing is like preserved forever on video. So you can always go back like 4 generations. This was my great grandfather. That's how we got to France.
Yeah, dude, that's literally like having Spider-Man or Wolverine as your great grandparent. Yeah, I mean, like, how did you guys end up being successful and established in this country? Well, if you go to the footage from 2018, you will see like our superhero grandfather. Yeah. Anyway,
I love everything about the story. Yeah.
Me too. It warms my heart, and it also warms my tummy because I'm doing one more cheers. Cheers to you, Spider-Man.
Gus, I made something special for you.
I'm so excited.
There it goes. It's the summer. It's Monday Club. It's Monday Club's Summer Movie Challenge. Hell. Oh, thank you.
Wait. I'm crying. I'm so happy.
I see a little tear. We needed a proper introduction, so there we go. We got a proper introduction to the Summer Movie Challenge. This week we are talking about Solo, a Star Wars story. Have you seen it?
Yeah. I have seen it twice already.
Wow.
You
liked it that much?
Well, no, actually. So I saw it opening night. Some friends of mine texted me and were like, hey, we have an extra seat at the Alamo Draft House for opening night, like at midnight, if you want to come and join us. And I did, and I think that was kind of a mistake because I went in, I was really tired, and I saw the movie tired, and I walked out of there being like, meh, that was a movie. It was just a movie. But yesterday, I picked my son up from school for his last day of school. I got his report card back, and he got on honor roll for his report card. So cheers to you, Bryce.
Hey.
So I took him to see the Star Wars movie, the Solo movie, as a reward for his last day, and I thoroughly enjoyed it for the second time seeing it. So I want to hear your thoughts, man. I know you saw it this week. What did you think of the movie?
So I, too, was a little bit tired when I saw it. I saw it last night. I had an afternoon show yesterday in Seattle. Then I had the whole rest of the afternoon to kill because I had a midnight red-eye flight. So I went to, like, the 6:30 showing at a theater near the airport. And I wasn't expecting much because of all the
right.
crap that's been talked about it over the last few months, and I really liked it. I thought it was very good. It wasn't my favorite Star Wars, but I thought it was a very good movie, and I had a lot of fun. And I thought it did it justice. I thought it did Star Wars justice. It told Han's story. It gave backstory. It had those fan moments where you're like, oh, that's so cool. They just connected those dots that have been lingering out there forever. And I liked it a lot. It was very good.
Yeah, so having seen it twice, I think that they did do a good job of connecting dots that they've briefly mentioned, but you actually got to see it play out. I think it is not very, having seen it twice, it's not very exciting. It's like there's no I don't think it's spoilers now for the Last Jedi movie to say when Luke comes out and is such a badass in the final fight scene with Kylo Ren. That is an edge of the seat moment. I don't think there were any edge of the seat moments in this movie, but I think the guy that they got to play Han Solo looked very much like a young Han Solo. I think they did a really good job finding that actor. I think that there was at least one I'm a super nerd moment that I freaked out about sort of in the movie, and the rest of it I think is owned by Chewbacca. I think Chewbacca is the best character in that movie. So yeah.
And you finally get to spoiler alert, spoilers. You finally get to see Chewbacca rip arms off.
Yeah,
He's been talking about it forever. Careful. Wookiees have been known to rip your arms off, and he finally did it.
Yeah. So yeah, I give it a solid B-, and it's definitely worth going to see.
Cool. I'd give it a BB plus personally. All right, going to the challenge. So Rogue One, to compare it to, got an 85% on Rotten Tomatoes. I predicted Solo: A Star Wars Story would get 53%. And Gus was a lot more negative on it. He thought Rotten Tomatoes, Solo would get 41%. And it came in at a whopping 71% on Rotten Tomatoes.
You know what? I will say on this, I'm getting my ass handed to me at this summer movie challenge, but I will say that I think a grade of 71 on Rotten Tomatoes is a fair grade for Solo for me. I think that Rotten Tomatoes has a very good perspective. It is much better than bad. It is. I don't think it's revolutionary, but I think it's definitely worth going to see.
Yeah, I agree. I'm glad it's better than I thought it was going to be, and I'm much.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. So I haven't lost yet. I am undefeated far in Summer Movie Challenge.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give myself a little.
Getting handed.
I'm gonna give myself a little one of these. Thank you very much. Is it awkward that I control the sound effects? Can have my applause for myself? No, I like it a lot. It's really fun.
Peter just finished most of his drink right there.
I have so many Seattle stories to talk about.
Hey, it's time for Stories from the Road.
Yeah, I need to go get another drink. So I flew to Seattle 2 days ago because yesterday I had a afternoon show and a keynote talk. Somebody wanted to hear what I had to say about life and learning about life and doing better at life and career stuff. So, so that was really interesting. And I got to hang out. My buddy Nash Fung, a magician, lives in Seattle, so I got to hang out with him. He showed me around. We went to the Troll under the bridge in Fremont. Have you ever been there?
Yeah. I've never been there, but I've seen a couple of pictures of that popping up all over the place, so I was super jealous that you got to go.
Yeah, it was really weird. It's at the top of this hill under an overpass, and you go up this hill. It's really steep, and then all of a sudden it kind of appears, and it's just this huge statue troll under an overpass, and it was just some art project that the city commissioned. So it's kind of cool, kind of unique thing to show people.
Yeah.
Then we went out to eat, had some good scotch, like I mentioned, played a game of huge Jenga that I didn't lose. I was really excited about that.
You played giant Jenga?
Yeah. And then the next day we went to Bruce Lee's grave in Lakeview Cemetery. And Bruce Lee I've idolized since I was a kid, and I remember seeing his grave for the first time in the movie No Retreat, No Surrender. Bonus episode way back if you want to hear me and Gus listen to that movie.
It's also available on YouTube, I believe. You can watch that movie in its entirety.
Yeah, cringeworthy 80s flick, but it's part of my childhood, so be kind to it. And it was very cool to see, and I was actually emotional when I went to see his grave, because Bruce Lee means so much to my dad, and my dad loved, or maybe you don't know this, but he loves martial arts, and he always loved Bruce Lee, and so that's kind of where I got my appreciation for martial arts and Bruce Lee, and it was just kind of emotional. I was like, oh wow, this is weird. This is something from my childhood, and I didn't cry, but I got a little emotional inside,
a little verklempt.
Yeah, a little bit. I was like, this is cool.
Do people still leave stuff like offerings at his grave?
Yeah, there were fresh flowers there. I mean, there were people there when we went, so it was literally taking turns to take pictures at his grave. There were bouquets of fresh flowers sitting on top of it. It was very cool.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that was really nice to go see. Okay, let me go back to my show now. So they wanted me to do a keynote. Have you ever given a keynote or a talk about stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah? Oh, that's cool. It's kind of a new experience for me, and it was really interesting. And so now I think I'm going to start writing. I think I've mentioned this before. I want to start writing more kind of just talking presentations about for keynotes for schools and corporate events. And it was a really good experience. The weird thing is, though, is before the show they were talking about recording my performance and putting it on YouTube. And have you ever? Yeah, no. You ever get asked that?
Yeah, man. And I appreciate people asking instead of just doing, but it sucks because what they're actually saying to you is, man, this is going to be so awesome. We want to have this awesomeness recorded for our school to show how awesome our school is. But what they're actually doing is, hey, this show that you've worked for years to do, we're going to put it out there for free, and then basically you're going to have to come up with a brand new show so that it's not the same as what everybody can see for free.
Yeah, exactly. It was so weird because they were really cool about it. Once I said no, they were totally cool. They didn't push me or anything. But it was just weird. They said, "Oh, we're going to record it," and then I was like, "Well, I don't really allow recording of my show." And they asked, "What are you going to do with it?" "Oh, we're going to put it on YouTube so our commuter students can see." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I can't do that. I mean, this is my show. This is my live show I make my living with. I don't want it out there."
Right.
And so they were cool, and they said no, or they said, okay, that's fine. But it was weird because he's like, oh, that's weird because that's usually a sticking point, a non-negotiable point when they're bringing people in. And I thought to myself, seriously? You have performers that actually let this happen? Or how do you even get performers to come to your school if you require them to put their whole shows on the internet for free?
Right. I mean, I guess if you're a musician, then it's totally fine to have another outlet for your music. Maybe some comedians would be super cool with that too, because again, it's just another outlet. But yeah, man, I can't see that there'd be a whole lot of other live performers that have worked for years and years to have their one show honed and perfected, who would be totally cool with it just being put out there for anyone to see without without bringing you to campus.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so that that happened, and but they were cool about it, like you said, and yeah, it was a good experience overall, and yeah, that was kind of my week so far.
Did you use note cards? Did you use PowerPoint? Did you memorize it? How'd you go about your keynote?
I wrote it and I had it on my iPad, and so I had my notes and I had the full written out. So I would look down and kind of get where I should go, and kind of I try to present wing it as much as possible, so it didn't seem like I was reading from my notes. And I missed a bunch of points that I wanted to make, but I think I got it overall. I think it was a good, solid presentation. Not the best I could have done because it's something I don't do as often, but I want to. So yeah, I think it was interesting too because there's a lack of confidence for me in talking about these things. I was just talking about failing and how failing helps you succeed because you stop being afraid of fear, and then also how to problem solve. And the first steps of problem solving is believing that the problem can be solved. And I was just telling epic fail stories of myself in the past, and of course those were, I think, favorites. But it was interesting because there was a couple people in the audience that I saw lean forward, and they were on the edge of their seats, with their elbows on their knees, and they were just really interested. And I felt like at that moment that, hey, they're actually getting something out of this. They're not just getting a funny story. They might be getting a real lesson that they might need, or some inspiration that they might need at that moment. It's really kind of hitting them. So that was very encouraging to feel that from the audience, to see those few people that did that. So that kind of made me feel, wow, I think I can do this. I think I can put together a great presentation that I didn't use PowerPoint or anything. It was just me talking. And but it was really cool to see that.
That's awesome, man. Good for you. That's super cool. I think it's funny when you're presenting something as the expert and you're just going off of your life, and you sort of have that out-of-body experience of man, I actually genuinely know what I'm talking about. How weird is that?
I know. I was like, wait, I really did learn these lessons. Because at first you're like, what do I teach about? And there's just a ton of cliches you can talk about, right? But why am I telling people these lessons? Obviously, failure way to success is something other people talk about. But how can I illustrate that through my experiences? How did I learn that? And that's how people learn things. You can't. That's why movies are there. Or not why movies, but when you watch a movie and there's some sort of moral message at the end of it, or some sort of statement that the movie's making, it hits a lot harder than just be kind to everybody.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you feel the message rather than just being talked at. And so that by telling my stories and conveying what I learned through my experiences, I feel like it might have reached some people, and look forward to doing it again.
That gives you a cheers and an applause sound effect.
Well, that was requested, so I didn't.
Oh, cool, man. Well, I haven't done anything nearly as exciting. My whole weekend has been filled with grad night shows. I leave tomorrow to go do a show where I think we load in at 8 or 9, and then we don't get to leave until 6 o'clock in the morning, and then we get in the car and we drive directly from that show for 6 hours, and then finally get to a hotel where we can rest for about 3 or 4 hours, wake up and do it all over again, and then drive back home. So it's going to be about a 70-something hour day with a couple of 3 or 4 hour naps thrown in there somewhere. So it's going to be pretty rough this coming weekend, which means I will be looking forward to Monday.
That sounds very difficult of a night.
Yeah, it's going to be rough. But it's also always fun to deal with. It's really cool to see high school kids that are graduating, because they're half of them are super young. You look at them and you think to yourself, man, you guys aren't ready for the world. And then there's a couple of them that are, hey, you guys are almost college kids. I can see it. Like, I can totally see it. So, anyway, it's a fun time for them, and it's a fun time for anyone. I'm always just, I give them props for getting out of high school. It's a big accomplishment, and it's also the end of such a weird era in your life where you've been in such a cocooned bubble of the same friends, the same town, the same everything you're used to. You're being taken care of by your parents, and now you're transitioning from that into real world, into being an adult and having to go out and make new friends and make new experiences. So yeah, it's always fun to be part of those grad night shows. It's just a really long, late day.
Nice. I've got a couple coming up, but none with the travel schedule that you have.
Yeah, it's going to be rough.
That sounds terrible.
Lots of coffee.
Yeah.
Teachable moments.
So my teachable moment this week is just say yes and then worry about the details later. So this pertains to my little keynote talk I did. I didn't have a keynote talk. I've been meaning to write one for months now, and I knew what I wanted to talk about, and I had an idea of the topics I wanted to cover. But when they called for this show and keynote, I said yes, and then I wrote it. So it kind of when you say yes to something, make sure it's something you want to do first of all. But when you say yes to something, you get to put yourself under the gun and pressure yourself to complete a project. That's what I did with Summoning Spirits. I booked shows before I had the show even created, and lo and behold, I worked my ass off to make it work and have it finished by showtime. And so that's what I did. I crammed and I wrote and I practiced in my hotel room before, and I worried about the details later, and because I had that pressure to make it happen on the day. So yeah, sometimes it's good to make yourself feel uncomfortable by saying yes to a project that you want but aren't necessarily prepared for yet, and then race to catch up and get it done.
Dude, I think that's a huge teachable moment, because one of the questions I get a lot, I haven't gotten in a while, but I used to get it a lot, was people who wanted to become full-time entertainers would ask me, like, well, how do I do it? Like, how do I become a full-time entertainer? Like, how do I got this job that I'm doing and I hate my job, and I have all of these, I have a giant garage filled with all of these tricks, but I don't know how to cross and get into it. And I think the real answer is exactly what you just said, man. Don't just work on a show until it's perfect and then start promoting it. Get out there and start doing it. Start getting real-world chops with it. And by going out and doing it, you've already started the process to get to being where it is that you want to be with that thing. I think a lot of times we get so in our heads about, well, I just don't have this perfect yet, so I'm not going to take it out. It's like, no one expects perfection except you, right? You can always expect better out of yourself, which is why after you do something, you can change it up and try to make it even better for the next time. But yeah, don't just wait and say, oh man, I don't have that available, that talking point yet, so I'm going to pass this time. It's like, I mean, if you're excited about it and you think you're a person who can make it happen, then yeah, jump on it.
Yeah, I'd say even if you don't think you can make it happen, do it. Because
it'll definitely make a good story for Monday Club later on.
Yeah, because even if you fail at what you're attempting to do, you've learned a ton from that failure. And then if you succeed, then you have that to go off of to keep going. And same with the failure. At least you know it didn't work.
Right.
And
no, that's
you can
absolutely
either
true.
Change tactics or move on from that goal.
Yeah. That's a great teachable moment, man. Mine is, I had a really interesting conversation with my friend. So this guy that I was talking to you about, when I went out and rode the ATVs and all that and had to try to act cool with my injured pinky toe from my pedicure, we were talking about he had just gotten a brand new go-kart, and this go-kart's badass, man. It can go like 50-something miles an hour, and you have to put racing harnesses on, and they've already rolled it a couple of times, and I mean, it will go out on the road. And so they were talking about it, him and his little brother were talking, and they were like, man, one of these days we're just going to blow the engine on this thing because they race it as fast as they can around their property. And they were like, yeah, but when we blow the engine, the next engine we put in here, we're going to put a bigger engine in there, and we're going to put these special shifters in there like they do in race cars. So pedal shifters with your hands so that you can make the engine do even more complicated things.
That sounds
And I was laughing at him. Yeah, it does sound awesome, right? I was laughing at him, and I was like, man, how are you going to have a go-kart that has more toys and is more badass than your car that you drive back and forth? Because I think he's driving like a Honda Civic or something like that. And he was like, dude, I'm totally good with all of our dirt bikes and go-karts and ATVs and like all of the toys that we have that we come out here and play around on. I'm totally good with those things being so much more souped up and badass than my car. It's like my car, all I need it to do is have air conditioning and get me to work. My toys are what give me absolute joy on the weekends when I'm just jacking around out here at my property. And it was like, I know that doesn't sound like that big of a thing, but for me, it was like a philosophical point that he was making, and one that I'd never actually considered. I was like, for me, I always think, well, no, I want the most like badass car that I can afford, so it's comfortable and it does this and this and this for me as far as my business is concerned, but I've never really thought about, hey, like the toys that I have that make me happy on my downtime, those things are actually where I might want to invest more of my time and money into. And so, yeah, it's just, I don't know if this is a teachable moment or just something for you guys to think about, but do have something that makes you happy and invest in it so that you're really happy sharing it with other people when they come over to see how you're doing and what you enjoy when you're kicking it on your time off.
I love that. Toys are way more fun than practical things.
Right?
Cool. Well, I think that was a good teachable moments this week. Thank you guys so much for being part of Monday Club. Again, make sure you go out and tell your friends. Episode 63. Gus, it is always good to see you, my friend.
You too, man. Get some rest, and I'll get some rest at the end of this next run of shows, and we'll meet up next Monday in the fort.
Yeah, we got a cool guest coming up for next week, so stay tuned.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you guys so much for being part of Monday Club. Check us out, MondayClubPodcast.com, Facebook.com/Monday Club Podcast. We're on Twitter, Monday Club Pod, Instagram, Monday Club Podcast. And email us questions, comments, concerns. Buy us a drink via PayPal at MondayClubPodcast@gmail.com. Thank you so much, James Caldwell, our amazing sound engineer, and to Zach Holder for our music. Go out there and buy a four-wheeler and say yes to something that you can't possibly accomplish in time. Have fun and get drunk on this Monday.